So today I'm talking about a Kia with the P0343 code, what it is and how you go about fixing it. So what is a Kia P0343 code? Well, it's a camshaft position sensor, a circuit, high, bank 1, or single sensor. And what does this mean? Well, the onboard computer uses the camshaft position sensor to know the location of the camshaft as it spins, and it's seen an error inside of this, so I have to be troubleshooting why. And so some of the possible causes, well, it could be a faulty cam sensor, it could be a loose wiring connection, there could be an open or a short in the wiring, and possibly a blown fuse. And so the first thing to do when you get this code is to locate the sensor A, camshaft position sensor, which should be located on top of the engine somewhere. It can vary depending on the engine and the year of the Kia. Sometimes there could be a single sensor and just one, and then sometimes there could be two. Quite often in older Kias there was one, and in newer Kias there's usually two, but again, it could just vary. You'll have to Google your particular year of Kia and engine type to know for sure. But the sensors will be located on top of the engine. Sometimes they'll be like this, or they could be located off to the side a little bit. Again, it could just vary. If you do have two sensors, it'll be the sensor A will always be on the side of the engine with the exhaust. Sensor B will always be on the side with the intake. And so once you locate sensor A, the next thing to do is to examine the wiring really good. So if anything wrong with the wiring, open, a short, a bad connection, can cause the same symptoms as a bad sensor. So you want to check out the wiring and be sure that that's all good. And the wiring can be checked. These are fairly easy to check once you understand what's going on with them. And the basics of what's going on with the wiring is that one wire will be ground, one wire will be coming from the battery, so it'll be a reference voltage. It could vary depending on the year and the engine, but it'll be 5 volts, 9 volts, or 12 volts. On one wire will be power coming to the circuit, and then the third wire will be going back to the onboard computer as a signal wire. And every time a piece of metal is directly in front of the sensor, 5 volts gets sent back to the onboard computer on the signal wire. So what you could do, you get a meter and you could test to be sure you're getting power to the circuit. When the key is in the on position, you should be getting like 5 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts, whatever it is. Be sure to get a wiring schematic or diagram for your particular year of Kia and Honda to know for sure what's going on with it. But one of the wires will have power coming in on it, and one wire will be a ground, so you can check that for continuity, and then the third wire will be going back to the onboard computer, which you could also check for continuity if you wanted to. And one thing to mention on this is that this is on a fuse, so again, it could vary on the fuse location, but it'll usually be inside the engine compartment, sometimes up underneath the dash, but usually inside the engine compartment there'll be a fuse in there, and if it blows you won't get no power to the circuit. And if you go and look at your fuses, it'll usually be labeled like this, like SN, SR3, or something along these lines. Sometimes they word it differently. I believe this is a 2012 Kia Soul, but basically just remember that the whole circuit's on a fuse. So if you're not getting no power to that circuit, then check for a blown fuse. And so if that all looks good, the next thing to do is to go ahead and just change out the sensor. They're fairly easy to change out. They'll have a 10mm bolt hold it in, and then they'll just pop off the wiring harness. You pop it out. There'll be a seal right here that makes them a little bit hard to pull directly out because the seal is just holding them in place, but they just pop right out. You just pop the new one in, put your bolt on, put your wiring harness on, and that's basically it. And so that's basically it. I just want to give a real quick brief overview of how you go about fixing a Kia with the P0343 code. If you have anything to add, please comment down below. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try to answer them. If this video helps you, please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.